live.
Hello and welcome to our actual play of Curse of Strahd as presented by For the Love of Crits. I'm level 1 Dungeon Master Hunter Ayu, and thank you again for joining us as we follow our lost clerics of Barovia deeper into the mist. Curse of Strahd, created by Wizards of the Coast, is known for its dark themes and mature content. Therefore, viewer discretion is advised due to adult language and themes. We ask you keep the chat civil, avoid spoilers for this Wizards of the Coast adventure and any others. One of our players is going to enact a recollection to catch up with our cluster of clerics. And don't forget, for the love of crits, like, comment, and subscribe. I believe
All right.
tonight is Herbert.
Yes, it is me. It is I. Herbert Lightforge. So, as per usual with Herbert, it's more of a stream of consciousness, just what he's thinking about at certain points during our adventures. So, well, time has come to take our leave of Valaki. Good riddance to it for the time being. I've never had any issues with towns, but I felt completely at home at Waterdeep. But the masked guards and the Burgomaster Volokovich, they were incredibly unpleasant to say the least. I have never felt so surveilled. Felt as if one misstep would lead to corporal punishment or worse, just like the one that we saw in a square at the Festival of the Burning Sun. It's not like the Burgomaster would be faulted for action against us after what we did to his son. Victor was a monster, and I do not regret what I did. Right? What we read in the diary were the musings of a villain. And I, for one, am all too glad that he will not be able to enact his will on anyone else ever again. Though, the idea that Lady Vakta spelled out so plainly for us does give me pause. When we witnessed a march of dead souls in the village of Barovia, Graves and I theorized that this valley was, in fact, cut off from the afterlife, in some manner. Lady Vakta told us that most of the citizens of Barovia are empty of souls, simply husks of humans that shuffle through the daily motions with no spark or thoughts of their own, much like the bartender at the Blood on the Vine that Onyx was so keen on. I wonder what determines who gets soul and who does not. There did not seem to be any husks in any of the households that we visited. They could have been expelled, I suppose, and it would not be possible to have your leader devoid of the ability to make choices, so I suppose that makes sense. But the Burgomaster's family has been in power for so long. Why haven't they all become soulless at some point and had a rival take over? If anyone deserves to lose their soul, it would be them. Perhaps it's their ancient connection to Strahd. In any case, I must focus. It seems there's some movement up ahead on the road. Battle ensues. Well, that was quite exciting. Those wooden creatures were quite dangerous, but exploded very satisfactorily. Luckily, no one was too hurt. It looks like they were headed to Kresk. Or close by, perhaps. I hope it's not an ill omen for our destination. Oh, looks like something else is approaching. Oh, it's alone. Odd. It's not a needle blight. Oh, whoever it is, it seems to be dead and hateful. Zombies pose no threat to our party right now, so I suspect this won't take long. Battle ensues. That was not a normal zombie. Far stronger and more intelligent. That was a revenant. Vengeful spirit bent on revenge. This is not over. It will possess any corpse it can to reanimate and chase us down. Could be no one else. did not resemble him, but there was no mistaking it. That was the spirit of Victor. That's it, actually. Kind of a
That
short
was.
session.
It was a short session last time. I believe that this was the. Sorry, I'm pulling up our map. Ah, that's right. We were on the travel screen.
Yeah, travel map, because we be traveling.
We were on the campgrounds. There we go. There we go. We ended the last session with the revelation of this being a revenant, a vengeful creature that will claw itself out from beyond the grave and come and chase you down in whatever form it's able to, whether it possesses humanoid or non-humanoid, or any undead corpse. This is your first encounter with the revenant, and the first time that you're having some of the sins of your past seem to catch up to you. I don't recall if in game Raves, Herbert, Onyx, and Quanerith had time to kind of process exactly what it was. I believe they had gotten to the point of being able to express knowing what a revenant was and determining it was at least vengeful against Onyx or against Herbert. But I don't believe you had determined if it was vengeful against anyone else.
Yeah, well, I mean, it didn't. It attacked who? It attacked just the people who ran up to it.
Yeah.
So I guess we wouldn't really know exactly, but I think you would probably notice that Herbert is a little struck by looking at this visage. He seems to be like just staring it down.
So, what is that thing?
That is a revenant. Was, is. I suppose you probably haven't heard what that might be.
Not a clue.
We had done a brief description of it
Yes.
right at the end of the last episode, so I'm guessing Herbert would express what he knew about it rather than having to go through the full explanation
Yeah.
in game.
Hmm.
Now, it's still pretty early in the day, if I recall. This is you guys had left the Luna River crossroads, headed down along. Let me pull up my map. You headed down to the south and west, towards the Kresk Solenka Pass route to continue on towards Kresk in your journey to go to the Wizard of Wines. This was only
I think we've been traveling
about
3 or
an
4 hours.
hour. Like it was only like an hour and a half into the trip.
Yeah.
Based on what I kind of have here.
Not very long. Also, I did have to restart my Tailspire if you're wondering why I disappeared.
Oh, I do see.
It did the thing that it used to do for yours where the mouse just was not there.
I did find that was one of the mods that was doing that for me, so I did have to remove one of the outdated mods.
It was working fine, and then it just suddenly did that. So hopefully, it just is going to be fine now. But
Do we have the optional class features enabled in D&D Beyond?
You know, I don't know because I only noticed those for the first time yesterday. Because I was
Oh.
looking up features for Monk, and there's a whole bunch of optional ones. Did those recently get added?
No, those are from Tasha's, I believe. So they're a few years old.
Okay.
So I was
Because there was
looking
a few
through 'em.
things that I was like, man, this is really cool. Like, I can spend a key point to heal myself.
Well, the reason I ask is because I think there's a feature that, is it clerics or just paladins that they can spend their divine channel divinity to get a spell slot back once per day.
Clerics too, and we use that in the Death House.
We did use that in Death House.
Yes.
Why can't I find that feature anymore?
Not sure.
See, I'll see if I can have a look too.
I get the sense that we got off lucky with this one. Seemed more powerful than we had a
Perhaps
quite effective strategy.
yes, perhaps it was a little overconfident approaching us in broad daylight like this, all at once, and 1-on-4s, obviously not in its favor.
Yes,
Um,
that was. We managed to pull off a few critical moves that were able to decisively finish this battle. As Graves looks over to the now petrified body with like a skull-like symbol with a dagger wound in it.
Well, I believe these creatures usually tend to take 24 hours or so to reconstitute themselves. So we shouldn't have to worry about it again today.
That also, I'm only vaguely familiar with the concepts. I've heard of them and what you explained, but that also doesn't necessitate, that even once it does, that it reconstitutes right around us. It might take it some time to reach us again, even if it knows where we are. Hopefully, at least, because I would like to not have to fight it every single day.
Yes, well, we'll see.
I believe I had voiced it previously, but with all of you being clerics of relatively equal skill levels within your perspective circles,
Excuse me.
you would know that the ability that Graves used was not a cleric ability you've ever heard of. That it is definitely something different, similar to how Conera's Shadow is not something you've ever heard of as clerics.
Are you talking about like his
The
channel divinity?
The petrification
No.
thing that I just used?
Where he stabbed him with the dagger and it petrified the creature.
Wow.
Which Graves did claim it's something I've been working on.
Now,
Oh, that was intentional? I thought that was the way it died.
I mean, maybe it's a coincidence.
What are the prerequisites for achieving such a feat?
Well, you need to have a very specific understanding of the body and the embalming process, and Graves starts going into medical and embalming knowledge that Graves seems to know what he's talking about for sure. But if you know much about medicine and embalming, especially and such,
Does it make any sense?
he's pulling it out of his ass. He's good at pulling it out of his ass.
Like, so
But he's
you
pulling it out of his ass.
completely crystallize the entire corpse just by injecting it with
Precisely.
chemicals?
Yes, precisely.
Onyx does have pretty high medicine. So
Yeah, he could probably be like, yeah, Graves is like really well putting together this argument, but it's bullshit.
So there were some things that just didn't make sense.
Yeah, you're just like, that is how it works, but that's not what it results in. Because, I mean, Graves has a really good deception. Actually, it's his best skill. But so he's like wording it very well, but for someone that actually knows what he's talking about, you're like, that's not what that does, and he knows that.
With that being said, looking at the corpse that was there, you would see that when he's describing this embalming process, and if this would change how you would argue it, that's fine. The skin, bone, blood is turned to stone, but so are any of the implements upon the body. The sword, any leather straps, any chainmail, everything on there is also turned to stone.
Now,
In fact, this looks like a very masterfully carved
It's
stone
an imbuing
statue.
of the divine magic on top of it and such. A very specific use of the channel divinity.
I see. And
Yeah.
do you need to defeat the creature before you can achieve this petrification, or can you do it?
It has to be like the killing blow.
I see.
I'm pretty sure if Graves is talking to a commoner, they probably be like, oh yeah. And you can tell Graves seems to more so be lying for the sake of lying. I'm pretty sure everyone at the party can be like, yeah, no, he's bullshitting this.
Yeah. I would say definitely with your guys's, you guys have above average medicine knowledge, just being clerics. If you do actually want to try and deceive them into believing it, I'll have you roll a deception check, but it would be a exceptionally high DC.
Yeah. I don't think I think Graves is more so. He's not so much like lying to the party to try and like actively like make sure they don't know what he actually did. It more so seems to be that like he's starting to develop a habit of just like being like explaining things as things other than they are. He's starting to just get a little bit of habit and be like, oh, how'd you do that? Oh, it's something completely different. Or what did you guys do? Oh, this that just makes it sound all innocent and such. But he's starting to become a little bit of a habitual liar.
Okay.
Well, we best keep our wits about us. This is the second conflict we've run into on the road. Neither of them pleasant.
Yes, I agree. Graves would also kind of like turn to start walking again, and he had the key in one hand, and he was kind of like hiding it in that one hand, opposite his dagger. He would put it back around his neck. Try to be stealthily. So I'd roll a sleight of hand if that's chill, if you think that's reasonable.
I would allow that.
I got a +2.
And
Yeah.
Can you describe how you fumbled this?
Graves is like, yes. And then goes to start walking again as he sheaves his dagger and then tries to make it look like he's adjusting his coat and then just kind of like, yes. And like goes to put it around his neck and then just drops it. And it's like, oh, sorry, that must have fallen out of my pocket. Picks it up again.
None of you believe him, even for a moment. I'm just saying that right here with fumbling it like that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Grace is good at lying and such, but you guys already know that he's bullshitting what he's currently talking about. And you just saw him fully drop it. And he's like, oh, I must have dropped it, guys. Also, the fact that we were talking about the keys right before this thing attacked.
I guess are we gonna like head out here, or do you have something else you wanted to say?
Me or one of the players?
Yep.
I was actually going to ask the exact same question. Like, hey, are you guys doing anything further, or are you just going to continue traveling along the route and just have this be a little bit of a pothole along the way?
I think Herbert would be anxious to get moving. But also he does want to use the message cantrip to talk to Graves from a distance and just whisper, listen, it's all right if you don't know the answer. You can always just say you don't know. But when you're ready to talk about it, I'm here. And you do not have to reply to this message if you do not wish.
I think Graves would respond. There'd be like a few seconds and be like, "Thank you, my friend. I don't mean to hide it. It's just I don't know anything yet. And I don't like to speak on things on my own behalf when I don't know."
Well, asking questions is the best place to start. So,
Before we head out, I will lag behind.
Okay.
And just because I don't like the undead coming back, I'm going to use his own sword and take his head off and like roll the head away from the body.
So I will need you to do two things. I
Break
will
the
need you
sword
to
off.
roll me a strength or athletics check to break the sword off. Because when you go to grab it, his hand is around it, and it's created of stone. Like it's like one carved piece of stone. You almost have to break his hand off in order to do that. That being said, you do have a hammer that would probably work
I was gonna
pretty
say
well
I'd
as
probably
well.
do that instead. If I noticed it was all, I would just use my hammer. So let me roll that
Okay.
instead.
Don't even have to
Dagger.
roll the head away, you just smash the head.
23 with my hammer.
Okay. So you swing your hammer across. It shatters just like as if you were trying to split some stones at a quarry. At the same moment, Graves, everyone's
boy.
kind of watching Onyx as he's swinging the hammer. At the moment the statue shatters, you feel your key move. And then it goes still.
Mhm.
Almost as if it flinches.
And then I will go after the head. I probably would realize that the sword is not gonna do it. So I'm just gonna crush the head.
Oh yeah,
Like,
and
shatter
I
it.
will allow you. Like it is, your hammer is more. The stone is no match for your hammer.
Yeah.
It does not give enough resistance for you to do
Yeah.
that.
If Graves sees that he's doing that then, because he has the key like hanging his neck, he would kind of like part his like jacket enough that he kind of like, before the hammer connects with the stone, like look down at the key to watch the key as the stone is smashed a second time.
Okay.
To see if it,
As it smashes a second time, you do see it kind of twitch on the chain. Almost like if it was hit.
I must say, I didn't expect you to have any links to stone itself, or to be harmed by the effects that you created.
What was that, Graves?
Oh, sorry, I'm just musing to myself about a predicament.
You do hear a voice in your head, very faint. And it just says, it's a woman's voice, and it just says, later.
Onyx is just picking up pieces and throwing it random places in the woods. That way, even if
Gather
the
it
head
around.
wants to come back together, it's like pulling it from all these different places. It's like, fuck this place, I hate this place. See too much. And then I'd catch up with the rest of them.
Alright. As you continue along, the path is more or less the same from this way out. You do... Can everyone roll me a perception check?
8. Perception.
1-5.
Getting bad rolls so far, but get them out of the way now.
I got a 14.
18.
Okay. So, Graves, you're a little bit distracted. Everything going
Yeah.
with the key. You're
Oh yeah,
walking
makes
along,
total sense.
not really paying attention to everything after. Everyone else, you're now on the lookout for things to sneak up on you, just similar to what Victor had done. About an hour down the road from where you were at, you pass a turn off to the left. It would have been very easy to miss as it creates a fork in the road. It looks like it's almost like a game trail that has been slightly widened out, or an old road that has been extremely overgrown. There is no sign surrounding it. It goes directly to the south from here. Unless someone attempts to investigate, continuing on, you guys continue to hit no resistance. Don't meet any other creatures or travelers along the road as you're going. Sorry.
I just burped and said, "Excuse me."
Oh, okay.
Apologies to our listeners, for I am a disgusting human being.
Ugh, so disgusting.
I have drank an energy drink and then had gas and burped.
So,
How
Dare I? I should not be on YouTube.
with discovering that new path, is there anything else that anyone would do, or would you just kind of be like, oh, that's interesting, and just kind of go forward?
I don't notice it.
My only interest in it is because you mentioned it, so I don't think it's fair for
Yeah.
me to like.
Like
You
on
know
a
what I mean?
player level, I'm like, ooh, in game.
I would have
like,
just been like, "Oh, we've got a thing we're doing. Oh, it's a random
Yeah,
trail
yeah.
off the road,
Yeah.
whatever."
Okay.
But because
So-
the DM mentioned it, it's like, what's down there?
So it's looking like Onyx is thinking about it though.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like when you're describing a room, and then there's one thing that you really over describe, and it's nothing.
Yeah.
Onyx may just take a quick meander where it connects to see if there's specific footprints. Just his survival skills up, so he just wants to make sure that this doesn't look like a path that people used for like a hideout or something. It's not recent tracks or anything.
Roll me a survival
Yeah.
check.
Looking for human footprints or needle bite signs or
Right.
wolf paws.
Recent
Okay.
Needle bite.
Or,
I'll smell
Hey.
it.
or
17.
beaver paws.
Yeah.
Because we were looking for beavers.
Okay,
not?
so with a 17, you kind of take a look, and you're kind of poking around with, like, I don't know, a stick or a sword, weapon, something like that, kind of moving aside some of the brush. You very quickly find that, like, this is definitely a road that has been overgrown, not a game trail that has been extra dug out. You do not see any sign of recent footprints. You would estimate, you're like, man, it doesn't look like anyone's consistently used this for at least a few years. And definitely not anyone using it at all for the last few weeks. As you're looking, though, you do see that underneath the growth, there is a cobblestone path underneath everything. So it definitely was at one point a road going to somewhere.
Somewhere important. Forgotten ruins to be
Honestly,
explored and looted.
I probably just keep that information in the back of my head and just keep going with the party. Like
Okay.
the immediate threat is there's no immediate threat.
Yeah.
So he'd be like, "Oh, cool. There might be some place to check out later. Whatever. Let's keep going. We're on a mission."
Okay.
Want to get off these dangerous roads.
So, as you are traveling along, you see ahead of you another crossroads coming up. I do need someone to roll me a d10.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Do it.
Now we know who to blame.
8.
Eat.
There are 8 hill giants.
Ah!
Okay.
8 Strahds.
Let me take a look here.
Strahd learned how to travel through different realities and has brought 7 other versions of himself here.
No, he just upgraded the mirror image.
Exactly.
Yeah, an advanced
Du-
form
Okay.
of mirror image.
Duplicity.
Shadow clone jutsu.
6
Okay.
level spell.
So, as you're going, as you see ahead, you suddenly hear the jingling sound of chainmail bouncing up and down, and also that of tackle on the horse.
Interesting.
It's coming from the right side of the road. And through the mist, suddenly a skeletal warhorse runs to the side of the road, probably about 100 feet ahead of you. On this skeletal warhorse is a rider, both the rider and the warhorse are clad in ruined chainmail. The skeletal rider holds up a rusted lantern that sheds no light. Before you can even comprehend what you have seen, the rider, looking towards you, continues along its way, going back into the mist and disappearing.
What?
How awful.
I think I like that it just left less than if it had attacked us.
Ill omen, though?
Seem to be a lot of those going around.
Yes.
Guys, it was just scared of us. It knew it couldn't take us. It's heard the stories. We're good.
Sure. Yeah, let's go with that.
Well, yeah, we'll go with that.
Now, which way do we have to go? Is there a sign?
As you
Yes.
approach forward, a great question. You do see that this crossroads has.
If
Let me
we have to go
double check.
right, I'm gonna be less happy about my answer.
There are 4 locations, and he would have gone off the side of the road. He wouldn't have been following a road. He's almost wandering the wilderness.
Oh,
For the skeletal. So ahead you see a weather-worn signpost next to the road. The 3 arms of the sign point along the 3 branches of the road. The arm pointing north reads Kresk. Through the woods you can see an arching stone bridge spanning a river. The arm pointing east reads Valaki, the way that you've just come, and the road slopes up gradually in that direction. The arm pointing southwest reads the Wizard of Wines. The road slopes gently downward in that direction.
Well, we know where we're going.
I guess we found our pit stop.
There would also be, let me double check that I am reading this correctly. So yes, there is a crossroad going directly north for Kresk that has the stone bridge spanning a river. The east one is where you guys are coming from now. And then there's also... Yep, okay. So there would also be looks like a footpath that is probably about 50 feet away from the crossroads that goes up to the north and west, or the north and east. But it is not marked with a signpost or anything.
Oh, well, let's wander into the wilderness and not know where we're going. Let's go to the signpost. And, I assume we all want to head towards the Wizard of Wines, or the Wizards of Wine?
It is. Let me double check that.
Wizard.
I always get thrown off by it.
Singular or
So-
plural?
It could be any of them. Like, they all make sense.
I believe it is the Wizard of Wines.
The Wizard of Wines. Okay. So yeah, I assume we all want to head towards the Wizard of Wines.
And yes, it is Wizard of Wines.
No
So
objections
singular. Then.
It's just wow.
All right, let's go to WoW.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll head down the road.
I agree. I do not feel like straying off our path.
Okay.
Graves is catatonic right now, mumbling, so he doesn't get a vote. That's weird.
I,
3 letters
no.
popped up above his head. AFK.
that's weird.
That's
Oh, Graves, you just came back from the bathroom. Excellent. We're heading down this pathway towards the Wizard of Wine. The Wizard of Wines.
the Wizards of Wine.
Yes,
Oh,
I had just went to the side of the road to relieve myself. I am down with this. I was also smart at a game and unplugged my headphones so I could hear you guys across the apartment.
Okay.
There's one lonely
me-
lantern lit way out back.
Hmm.
I'm just getting
The-
this pulled up. Okay.
Oh, it's all grayed here too. And Herbert is like randomly floating.
Loading?
No?
I'm on the ground.
For me, it looks like you're like. Oh, so is Onyx now.
No?
Oh, okay, I see what it was. It just had like froze with you like as you were pulling your token.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
It's got like a flashing exclamation mark up top. I mean, I think. Oh, yep, there goes my mouse again.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna relaunch that again, and I'm just not gonna move my token, I guess, because last time the mouse disappeared was when I tried to move my token.
Do you have it
Okay.
modded?
Yeah, maybe I'll just launch it vanilla for now.
Yeah, I'll just launch it vanilla.
Yeah, you should be good launching it vanilla.
Yeah, I'll just see like a token base instead of any unique tokens
Okay.
from the mods, which is like, whatever. I'm not the one who's doing the stream, so it doesn't matter what I
Right.
see. And then if I'm curious, I can go actually watch our own stream.
Right.
Interestingly enough, you can use your imagination.
Well, I mean, we're not
What?
live
How
streaming.
dare
yet,
you
so-
suggest something so outrageous?
The VOD.
Imagination in D&D.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a game of math and statistics, no imagination. Also, vanilla that actually launched in like seconds instead of.
Oh, yeah, it launches super
Forever.
fast in vanilla.
What is the name of this board and what category is it in?
Do I need to know anything about this environment before I walk through it?
So yeah,
Is
let
there-
me read the description. Are you back in Graves?
Yes, I just don't know which board to go to.
Ah,
Yeah, you could just summon us all.
there we go.
Perfect, thank you.
Do you have a character token again?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, now it's
Okay.
not glitching out or anything.
Yeah, so let
Excellent.
me pull this up.
I do love how like the
Oh,
little like magic
so-
wisps on my token look in this lighting though.
Let's see. Okay. So you guys were traveling on the old Slavlich Road. I always will pronounce that wrong. Slavlich Road. After about half mile, the road becomes a muddy trail that meanders through the woods, descending gradually until the trees part, revealing a mist-shrouded meadow. The trail splits. One branch heads west into the valley, and the other leads south into dark woods. A wooden signpost at the intersection points west and reads Vineyard.
Okay.
So basically, to kind of explain it a bit better, you guys branched off at the Raven River crossroads. You went straight south, and then as you are going south, the road all of a sudden has a split off 90 degrees west. At that 90-degree mark is where the signpost is that says west. That says Vineyard, and it goes to the west, but the trail continues on straight forward. Beyond the Wizard of Wines.
Well, maybe this wizard can tell us where that trail leads.
Do you guys travel west on the trail towards the vineyard then?
Well, towards the building, yeah.
Okay. So, obviously, kind of traveling along this pathway here. If you guys can stop right about here.
Woo!
As you are traveling along. A light drizzle begins to fall. Unpainted fences blindly follow the trail, which skirts north of a sprawling vineyard before bending south towards a stately building. The fog takes on ghostly forms as it swirls between the neatly tended row of grapevines. Here and there you see rope-handled half-barrels used for hauling grapes. North of the trail is a large stand of trees. Glancing there, you suddenly see a flash of light glinting multiple times in a row, as if someone is using a signal mirror to get your attention.
So, like, behind us, right here?
Like, where the guy is.
Let me do this. Bam.
Where?
There.
Sorry?
Yeah, the compass is not correct.
I updated the compass to be correct.
There's actually people in the woods.
I thought we went... Oh, okay. Alright, yeah.
So you guys were heading on the trail directly west to go towards the Wizard of Vines to north. As you guys glance over there, seeing the Glenn's banner, a robed figure steps out of the trees and beckons you towards him.
Maybe there's something going on with the Wizard of Wines, so maybe it'd be good to hear them out.
Might as well, I suppose.
Rather go to them knowing and then have them sneak up behind us if they are a danger too, so.
I have, is it like daylight outside right now? It's like, but it's always pretty dark around.
Yeah, it's overcast. It's getting close to the evening. You would probably say it is probably around 4 or 5 at this point.
As Onyx approach, he just goes, "Hello, humans."
Shh. And the cloaked figure kind of puts his hand to his lips. He's like, "Be quiet, you fool."
Ka-chink, 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 walk up. Oh, sorry.
And as he comes forward, he looks at you, and his eyes alight upon Onyx and hover there for a moment. And he turns around towards the trees and he's like, "It's them." And you hear a number of people come out of the trees as they are wandering forward. So let me...
Yes, it is us, of course, but how do you know who we are?
Let's see. Let me move
It
everyone
might be
down.
us. It might not be.
I mean, I am always me, so we are always us.
Until we're not.
I will not be me if it means that you don't like us.
I mean, also, if one of us were to die, there would be, and someone else come, there would be a different us.
So, as he kind of yells, he yells back, if you know what I mean. He's like, "It's them." a number of people come out. Quick count, you see that there's actually 8 additional people here, 4 additional adults, and 4 children with them.
It's 9 total?
9 total, including the one that was beckoning you. He's like, we're glad that you have come. My brother Erwin sent message that you might be coming.
Erwin. That
You
was-
are Motakov then?
Yes. My name is Adrian. This, he kind of points to the rest of his family. And he says, this is my sister, Stefania, and her husband, Doug. My younger
Doug.
brother, Elver. And my father, Davian. Davian has a scowl on his face, and he just is staring at you. He looks like he doesn't trust you guys at all.
He's probably the
Wouldn't trust
smartest
us either.
person. Right.
Adrian's like, my brother said that a group of people with a metal man among them was coming to help.
Of course. That's a little racist.
I
And it's also
apologize.
a apt description.
Is there a name for what you are, I suppose?
Are you a race?
Are we... Have we established that? I mean, you were Onyx to us, so that's all we've ever really called you.
My master said I am was called a warforged.
Ooh, I like that term, actually. That's quite catchy.
Very intimidating.
The
We're just like,
remaining
don't care what you're trying to tell us. Onyx, what's your race called?
the remaining people, so the woman and the 2 men, aside from Adrian, they look haggard but relieved to see you. There are the 4 children. One is a teenager, the other ones look like they're less than 10 years old. They seem to be huddled closer to the man that goes by Dag as he's sitting there. Adrian beckons you. He's like, come, we have a small camp set up. We have been a little bit under siege.
Siege.
Yes.
So I assume your property is not safe, then?
No, that's why we tried to signal you before you got there. We've been keeping an eye out for you to be traveling through.
What sort of problems are you encountering here?
Here, let's get deeper into the trees and I can explain.
Alright. We follow?
So, yep, and
Yeah.
because the trees are a bit wonky to try and guide yourselves through, we're going to theater of the mind that you guys go deeper into the trees and
Yeah.
see kind of a small encampment. So,
Onyx is just kind of like,
Fair.
aren't the getting off the path bad?
in this time, getting us off the path is your best option.
I'm in the trees.
So, let me see. Okay. I'm pulling up the thing here. Bear with me.
Unacceptable.
Okay. I'm trying to make sure that I have the time frame correct for what they're telling you, but I just realized I didn't have it pulled up. So let's see. And there we go. Pulling up now. Okay. So, he's going to guide you there. You're going to see that what you have here is a very rudimentary camp. It looks like it's a lot of like shelter made from sticks and things like that. Not necessarily things that they were prepared to camp out for this long. You don't see any signs of a fire or anything like that as you're going. So, let me see here. Adrian would offer you some stumps to kind of sit on or a log, and he's going to be like, we've been under attack for a little while, mostly the forest folk. I'm not sure if you've run into them.
Spiky wooden fellows?
No, those are their minions.
Oh. I see.
So about a month or so ago, the forest folk started acting strangely in the woods. We hear some strange stories coming from Yester Hill, but we didn't really know what was going on. And then about a week later, there was some of our items were stolen from the vineyard. We don't know exactly how. No one was killed or hurt in the attempt, but we did lose some of our plants because of it. And then last week, the forest folk and their blights outright attacked us. We don't know why. We were able to defend it for a little bit there. But they were relentless. After about 2 days of them assaulting the vineyard, we were forced out of there. We had to abandon the vineyard. And 2 days ago is when we fully fled. And we've been hiding out since. We've been having some of the attacks and have been trying to send messages as we can to Irwin to get assistance. He said that if he saw an adventuring party come through, he would encourage them to come check on us, as we haven't been able to send messages for some time.
Well, we certainly got the message.
Yeah, there was certainly a number of people in Vallaki concerned that the wine had stopped flowing, so to speak.
Well, why shouldn't they be? And for the first time, Davian speaks. He's like, my family has been running this vineyard for generations, and it is the lifeblood of Barovia.
Yes,
If it stops flowing, this valley dies. Of course they were worried about us.
I mean, I'm inclined to agree with you. In a place like this, you need your wine.
You know, I just hope that you are up to the task. I mean, you guys look a little green. No offense.
It depends on what this task is.
Well,
I presume getting your vineyard back, but by what means? And I would also be curious to know. Say, we've encountered the blights before, but I am still completely unaware of what these forest folk are or what they want.
And sir, I'm black, not green. You might be colorblind.
I think your eyes are green.
Are they? I thought they were
Your
blue.
Shut up!
Your ocular lenses.
I thought they were blue.
Hey,
Or they-
Davian
on the
just
light.
yells like,
I can't-
Davian just yells, he's like, shut up! And then he starts, Scully and Adrian kind of steps in, he's like, Father, they are here to help. Davian, despite being the older, he does seem to heed his son's advice a little bit here. With everything. Adrian looks at him, he's like, I would say whatever means necessary, but that's not the case. We have to take the vineyard back, but we can't burn it down. We can't damage it. We need to be able to keep
One
what
rule:
we can
Yeah.
running.
no fireballs.
I-
My specialty.
I don't know why the forest folk started to attack us. They've never attacked us before, and our family, like my father said, we've been here for generations.
It would seem odd for that to have suddenly been provoked by you. Likely some external factor.
Do they speak common?
So yes, who are they or what are
The
they?
Are they
the
something
the
other
forest
than
folk,
human? Yes. Are they
Yes.
something other than human, or
they don't speak any language I recognize. It almost sounds like the chattering of animals.
ooh, and when you say forest folk, could you describe what they look like? Do they look like humans, or do they?
Oh
look-
yes, they definitely look human. They often wear mostly animal skins, have bones and stuff of animals hanging from their person.
Now, Garion remembers, long time ago, real world. Grace would probably remember and stuff too. We did encounter a crazy druid guy on the road on our way to Valaki. Did he speak or chatter like he's describing here?
He would have, yes.
Oh. And how long ago was that in world? Does it line up similar to this timeline?
That was before you entered Valaki.
Yeah,
and
it's
it
a
would have been on
day
the
before.
that would have been on the opposite end of Valaki.
Yeah.
So not a month ago or anything.
No, we
No.
were only in Valaki for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it would have been
less than a week ago.
Yeah. Okay, you're just like, yes. Actually, say we encountered some of the blights earlier today. I think we might have encountered one of these forest folks on our way to Valaki initially. We did encounter someone who attacked us on the road within this last week, fitting that description. Do you all recall that as well? Just maybe a day outside Valaki?
No, what are you talking about, Graves? No, I'm just kidding. Yes, I do.
That would not surprise me. The forest folk, we call them that because they live in the forest, and the Svalich Woods covers majority of the non-roaded area of the valley.
Did we realize when we fought that guy that he was in game? Were we like, that's a druid?
That would be a much more known term in the Sword Coast.
Mm-hmm.
You might not have because you haven't really encountered too much. Graves himself hasn't. I would say that Herbert definitely would recognize that, being living in Waterdeep, where there's a lot of adventuring parties coming through. Onyx and Conerith, I would kind of leave it up to you guys if you guys would know what a druid was based on your backstories. But what he is describing does sound like that.
Conerith, is there anything that you would like us to ask on your behalf?
How many are there?
Do you
And
have any?
Do they know where they are?
Do you have a sense for their numbers or where they might be holed up somewhere in the woods?
I believe they are within the vineyard. As far as their numbers, while on the map itself we're it's 100 yards away. In game, they're more than a half a mile away, so they have kept their distance from the vineyard. They're we know that there are a decent amount of the needle blights, but I don't think there's too many of the forest folk in there. Probably less than 5 or 10.
All right. Well,
We did take a number of the needle blights without too much difficulty. the forest, but if there are more, plus the forest folk themselves could be more troublesome. And we have expended I've expended most of my daily magics.
I would like to request a short rest before we go.
As you are sitting there, you do hear a baby cry. I did forget to mention that while the children, 3 of them were under the age of 10. One of them is infant, still, and it is being held by Dag. As he's sitting there, the baby starts crying, and he tries to calm it down a little bit, and his wife comes over to also help console him. Adrian looks, he's like, majority of our wealth is in the land and the plants. We can reward you some. We don't have many funds. And we can possibly help you with some knowledge of the area. If you are willing to assist.
I think the knowledge of the area would be very helpful to us.
And
well,
from
in
the way
that
people have been talking, the wine itself is a equivalent currency.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, if it's knowledge that you are looking for, then luckily we are quite wealthy in that. And that is a luxury that we can afford.
We require a cask of red wine for the Blue Water Inn, correct?
Yes, we will.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes, we have wine that's made. We are hoping that the vats are still intact inside, because if they drain our vats in there, we'll have to start production again. And Elver, and he turns over. He's like, Elver, how long do you think it would take us to get fully up and running to have wine start flowing again if they drain the vats? The youngest of the adults kind of pales at the thought of it. And he's like, I think at least 6 months after the fermentation and everything.
That is a long time for Valaki to wait for their wines.
Yes, very much so. As I said, it is the lifeblood of
they'd have to get through 24 festivals. That's just too much.
Yes.
You have it sounds like you have experienced the tear that is the Volakovich family line.
Oh, that's something.
Oh, don't worry. We are not so brainwashed. We know very well that all is not well here.
Well, at least some people are trying to confront the facts and at least do something about what they have power over.
Yep.
Please, we have some food. Please, we are more than willing to let you rest up, either just for a short time, or if you want to sleep. We have been able to hide ourselves well enough that we haven't been attacked for at least the last 2 days, so we should be safe here. And we should be able to keep you safe if you want to sleep before attempting to enter the winery.
I wouldn't mind a long rest, to be honest.
I think it could be useful. There is the question of how long do we really want to wait, but then how many of our resources do we want to recover?
How long did it take us to get here?
About 8 hours.
Yeah, we should long
We've been
rest.
traveling all day, yeah.
Yep.
But as well.
We could also have Herbert, your new friend. Would he be able to gather information? Is that something you could do? Like take a look around?
Mirabelle? Or
the familiar. Because I believe it's up to a full mile that you can see through the familiar, correct?
Yeah.
And it's only about a half mile to the vineyard.
Speaking of Mirabelle, you would notice that there is Mirabelle is still with you, and when you got around here, she would fly up into one of the trees. And there are a large amount of ravens around here as you're looking around.
Yeah.
Which you would suspect would probably be in relation to the grapes and everything around, that there's a lot for them to eat.
Yeah. Fair. I was referring to the familiar
Yeah.
Bartholomew, whatever his name is. I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it.
Awesome. Yeah, because you can
Um,
see through its eyes, and I think it's up
yeah.
to a mile.
It's unlimited, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But I can't tell him to do anything if he's more than 100 feet away from me. So he just would
Yeah.
act on my orders, essentially.
Yeah, you could basically just tell him to go do a couple circles so that we can see what's there.
Try to look in some
Come back.
windows.
Yeah. Let me just look at the
Hey, pretzel gang.
all stats. 1 second.
I normally try to not eat on stream, but today they were just sitting there like, nah, man, gotta have the pretzels.
I'm eating because I didn't have dinner.
That's fair. But I only have like the little nubs left, and like 3 or 4. But
I'm drinking because I have a problem.
I had a monster when we started the session because I have a problem with energy drinks. I drink way too many.
I prefer something light before dinner, like a small teenth of cocaine. But that's just me.
Yep.
Pretty light.
It's a little bump to get your head straight.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
sounds like you guys are leaning towards a long rest.
Long rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have Bartholomew go and make like an overview. Like I don't want him to like go inside the building or anything like that. But he's gonna keep his distance, stay safe, and try to just scout the place out and see if we can get an idea of exactly what we're dealing with.
Okay.
And I will just warg into his eyes while he does that, basically. Just look alongside him.
Okay. So, we're actually going to do cinematic mode. Let me pull
But
up
if
the description
Onyx
real quick.
is made out of metal and it's called a Warforged. Does that mean Bartholomew is also a Warforged? Or is it a specific type of metal being?
I'm not sure. I mean, what Bartholomew is considered a familiar, but what type of familiar might be something like a Warforged?
But I mean, if someone is powerful enough, perhaps something more powerful than Bartholomew could be their familiar. Perhaps Onyx was his old master's familiar.
I don't
Maybe.
think so.
Doesn't seem to function much the same way, but
Because I
perhaps-
can't be dismissed.
I brought you into this world and I can take you out.
I'm not very familiar with either, so I'm just randomly throwing out ideas that pop into my head as we sit here.
But it's curious that the owl may be a Warforged. I don't know.
Mhm.
maybe.
How broad is the term? Exactly.
I don't know if the manner of your construction is widely available, considering I was aware of this spell beforehand. I'd heard of its tale in Waterdeep, and I even knew some folks who had their own familiars. But I'm not sure as though I ever met a fully autonomous automaton. In fact, we had several at the temple that were very much similar to your construction. However, they could not do anything on their own. Like, you had to tell them to do whatever you wanted them to do, otherwise they would just stand there like a mannequin. I think they called them Nimblewrights, actually. They were a recent acquisition from some wizards of Laxton, I believe.
Somewhere.
far-off island where they're apparently very much more advanced with the automaton construction than we are.
What if you just told them to be like you?
That's what I was thinking as well.
They couldn't understand complicated tasks like that, as far as I was aware.
So they're just stupid Warforged.
Maybe, yeah. It seems a bit reductive, but, sure.
I'm correcting the compass to make sure that's matching, because the tree was the group of trees wasn't quite to the direct north of where you guys were at, but I want to make sure that as I'm giving you directions and stuff, it matches up with what shows at the Wizard Wine. So to make sure that I'm understanding correctly, your owl is going to go around the outside of the building, kind of looking around, guessing, looking for enemies, things like that.
Yeah. Just maybe trying to spot anything that wasn't described or something that would stand out or be suspicious or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So, situated in the midst of the vineyard, the winery is an old 2-story building with multiple entrances. You can see that there are... I'm just going to kind of go through some of these entrances that are appearing in here. There is thick ivy covering every wall and iron fencing along its roof line. The trail ends at an open loading dock on the ground floor. Now, the wooden stable of more recent construction is attached to the east side of the winery, next to the loading dock. West of the winery is a crumbling wooden well and outhouse. As far as things that he would see otherwise, can you roll me a perception check?
All right. He's got advantage on this. He's got advantage on perception checks that rely on sight.
Okay.
Hearing and sight, actually. Okay.
And interesting fact, he birds cannot smell, so he probably could only do those two.
Yeah, that's interesting, actually. Okay, so this +3 to this, so I'll just roll something that I got a +3 on. Oh, that's right. Yeah, no. Here we go. I'm gonna use the in-game one.
Somebody needs to slap the father Mardukov upside the head for having the outhouse that close to the well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is 22 on perception.
Nice.
Okay.
It says Arcana, but...
So, 22 on perception. You would kind of see that you do not see any humans, forest folk, anything like that, any needle blights, as he's flying over. You do see that the doors look like they have been forced open and kind of remain open. They haven't been closed or secured, any amount of barricading, things like that. But overall, you are not really able to perceive much more than the general outline of the building. Definitely is a 2-story. There is entrance on the back of the building, multiple entrances on the front of the building, and then that's kind of it that you are able to tell from a fly around. Surrounding
fields, yeah, like anything.
Surrounding in the fields is it's a wide area of just grapes, vines, things like that. Flying over it, you are unable to see anything within the fields, aside from the um, like the vines, the sticks, that type of thing. It does appear that there are 3 distinct sections of grapes. One is to the west side of the building. That seems to be one of the medium-sized fields. They appear to have the grapes appear to be dying there. That they have been almost like the water was cut off. Excuse me. To the east side of the field, these ones, they are still full of grapes, and everything. And this is by far the largest field. To the direct north or south of the vineyard is a very small set of vineyard. Like, you can see the sticks and everything from where there used to be vines growing along there. However, these are barren and appear to be barren for at least quite a few years. You don't see any sign of grapes or old grapes on the ground. You don't see any sign of new growth, anything like this. It's pretty desolate.
Interesting agricultural cycle you have going on there. I just say out loud, not knowing if anyone's nearby me.
Alver would perk up. He's like, "What's that?"
And I don't respond because I can't hear him. Because I'm worked into the familiar, so I can't
anyone that is nearby Herbert would hear him say something. Alver would respond, and then Herbert would say nothing else and just ignore Alver. And Alver looks like he's probably in his mid-20s. He's younger. And he looked excited when Herbert had said something, and then it just kind of was like his smile just like it didn't diminish. It was more so it was like almost like he got tired of with the smile and just kind of went back to doing his own thing.
Like, I think he's concentrating on magic of some sort. I don't know if he can hear us right now, but you can probably talk to him again when he's done. I just don't know if he's aware of what's going on. I'm not really sure how the magic he's using works.
I'm so rude. I can't hear you at all. It just says while you're talking. I'm so sorry.
He said something about the agriculture, and I was curious what he meant. But I do quite a bit of the cultivating of the vines and things like that, so I was curious his insights.
Well, I imagine whenever he's done this magic, you could ask him again and such, but apparently he can't hear us until he's done. I don't think he intends to be rude. He's generally a fairly polite individual.
Albert nods. Is there any supplies that you are needing? We don't have much, but
I mean, if you happen to have a magic sword that can kill vampires, but other than that,
no, I do not. I've heard legends of different swords like that in the past that my grandmother used to tell me, but nothing that I've heard of in years.
Can't say I'm shocked.
Well, if there's anything more mundane, more than happy to help.
I think once like Bartholomew makes his rounds, he's probably like I would probably said like, you know, make a couple rounds. If you see anything interesting, look closer. But if you don't see anything that's weird, like too weird, just come on back. So I'd probably be, you know, like as he starts flying back, I just like stop concentrating. And oh, so sorry. As and I assume they were staying at like Graves, and it was Erwin,
Elver.
Elver's standing around. Oh, hi.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yes, you said something about the agriculture. I was curious what your insight was.
Well, it seems I don't know a whole lot about agriculture in general, but my general understanding is that you do rotate the fields to sort of accommodate for the soil being deprived of nutrients of some sort. Is that your approach with this sort of scenario? It seems like only one of your fields is growing.
No, so that could be the case if it came to maize or, and you do notice that he has a little bit of a spark of passion, when this comes up. He's like, if you're looking at cabbages, those type of things, potatoes, anything like that, that you harvest the entire plant, in order to, then switching out different the different property is a necessity. However, wine is very different. The grapes, the vine grows over the years, and we don't remove that vine. It's kind of like a tree, how you get apples or things like that that grow on the tree, and you don't necessarily remove the tree in its place.
I see.
So, what we do is I will go around and I will add some of the scraps and stuff from different things to help provide some of the nutrients to those plants and things like that.
Have your fields been struggling for long, or is this just a sort of recent development with the invasion of these forest folk?
Mostly a recent development with the invasion of the forest folk. The Champagne de la Stump has been, for quite a few years, had an issue. Graves, are you here for this conversation?
Graves is probably nearby. Once they started talking agriculture, he probably kind of just like, cool.
Okay.
I'm
Herbert.
not like just like, oh, I don't care, but he's kind of like, they talk about that. He probably sits down nearby.
All right, Herbert, roll me a perception check.
Okie doke. Perception.
Also, I sent you a DM. Rena.
So sorry.
worries.
8.
Okay. What was it you rolled? Sorry.
I got an 8.
Okay. You notice nothing. As he says, he's like, the Champagne de la Stump, it has been struggling for many years. We actually don't make that vintage anymore. Unfortunately. We might attempt to revive it at one point. It was one of our more prestigious vintages.
Is it just lacking? What is it lacking right now? What would bring it back? Is it just water or air? It just seemed dry. That's all I can tell. I don't know that.
Yeah, it's a number of different factors. It can get pretty complicated. Unfortunately, it's mostly resources. It takes specific resources.
I see. Well,
But
hopefully we can get you your land back, and you can get back to doing what you love. Clearly,
that would be very much appreciated. Are you a grower yourself?
Oh no, I'm more of a builder. So I deal with more things like irrigation, city infrastructure, things like that.
Interesting. My brother Erwin was always more into that type of thing. He built a lot of the pulley systems and things like that, that we use to load the barrels and things like that before he went to start Blue Water in a few years ago.
Okay. Well, I'll have to sit down and chat with this fellow. He seems like a nice chap.
Are you talking about Erwin?
Erwin, yes.
Roll me another perception check.
Okay. 15 this time.
With a 15, you can say you see that when he talks about Erwin going to start the Blue Water Inn, and then you adding on to there, like seems like a upstanding kind of guy. You see Davian glare over at you and then go back to doing what he's doing.
He ain't happy that his son left the family business.
I suppose I can relate to that sentiment, although it happened much the opposite for me as far as my character goes. Like my father was like, yes, go to Waterdeep, please. You're shriveling here. Like, you need to grow.
So, that being said, does anyone do anything else before the long rest? Any prep before trying to delve into the Wizard of Wines? Anything like that?
I think I'll just rearrange my spell list, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that
After the
too.
long rest.
Oh yeah, because you guys the long rest can choose your spells.
Yeah.
That'll be something I'll allow you guys to do kind of on your own time between.
Yeah.
Because
during the long rest, whatever, because Graves sits and contemplates, whatever, he would definitely begin trying to commune with this lady in the key.
Okay.
Yeah, whether you want to do the on stream or message me later or whatever, up to you. But he would be doing that.
As you are sitting there trying to commune with the key,
like, well, it's later. Seems like good a time as any.
Do you just kind of like do like a meditation, like eyes closed, just trying to?
Yeah, he's kind of like talking to it almost, like he says like that, whatever. But he's kind of just like sitting there up in his hand. He doesn't saying anything out loud. He's kind of just like thinking to it, kind of like our recollection style things. I mean, Graves's normally are directed at used to be Pharasma, not really anymore, but kind of like that.
Let me pull this up. Okay. Okay, so we have... Okay. You sit there with your key. You kind of holding in your hand or keeping it on your chest, however you position it. You close your eyes trying to commune with the key. Almost immediately after you close your eyes, you suddenly feel cold air hitting against your skin. And you open your eyes and find yourself in a familiar place. A place you've only been once before, when you had first died in the bowels of Durst Manor.
Yes.
You see, you are in the heart of a moonlit marble mausoleum. Treading carefully, you see the ethereal night, the glow of the night casting haunting shadows on the cold stone walls. The air is heavy with an otherworldly stillness, and you sense a presence lingering in the shadows. You realize that, as last time, you're unclothed again. Your knees against the cold marble of the mausoleum, the dome ceiling above you allowing the moonlight to shine in, and the only other light is that of a lantern. It is held by a figure in a white dress. She is angelic in nature. She materializes from the darkness, illuminated solely by the beams of moon light and the lantern held in her left hand. The stained glass windows flicker as she walks past them. The woman's form seems to waver between the corporeal and the spectral, an enigmatic silhouette against the marble backdrop. She looks at you, and a soft, disembodied voice, like a whisper of the night breeze, caresses your consciousness. She walks past what you thought was a pillar at first, but very quickly see that it is in fact the full statuette of the body that you had just petrified, not hours before. She looks in, she's like, "Wanderer of night, I sense your aversion to the undead. Are we agreed that those wretched beings defy the tranquility of this resting place?"
I'd be inclined to agree.
He
I've seen no evidence otherwise.
She smiles. The moonlight dances on the marble floor as a figure gestures, and the mausoleum seems to come alive with spectral phantoms, their movements frozen in time. She's like, you can see, and what you thought was pillars across the rest of the mausoleum is now revealed to be a number of statues. Undead, frozen in time. All of them pristine, stone, and no longer in a state of endless decay. Aren't they beautiful? Perfectly preserved.
I would argue it's very different from what I was taught. But suppose he kind of looks down at his own naked body. You do seem to be at a bit of an advantage over me currently. But I also am not... Both only been taught by one person before. And one person doesn't know everything.
Your eyes lock with hers. Her eyes showing pools of silver radiance, holding secrets untold. She walks towards you and whispers, "Embrace the silent night, rogue." The voice continues, offering power without explicit promises. "Within the shadows lies untold strength. Let the moonlight be our guide, and together we shall navigate the veiled realms beyond mortal comprehension." Nymphs do insert gift, and she holds her hand out to you.
Graves kind of look at her hand for a moment. He would look down. Does he have like any of his equipment or possessions on him, like, or near him at all, or is he just completely nothing with him currently?
You have one item that was lying on the ground near you. It is a knife that is ornate, and you do recognize it, but not from your own equipment.
Graves would kind of stoop down, pick up the knife, look at it for a moment, place it into his left hand, blade down, and then reach out and take her hand as well. This path seems more worthwhile than my previous.
She smiles, grips your hand, and the woman dissolves back into the shadows, leaving you alone in the quiet mausoleum, surrounded by frozen echoes of the night. Suddenly you feel warmth, you feel the grittiness of the ground surrounding you, hear the ravens cawing around you. and the wind upon your face, and you open your eyes again to find yourself back in the forest clearing.
He just kind of like look, and anyone is nearby to him, they might hear, but he kind of just looks around for a moment, kind of looks down and shakes his head. Well, that truly was much more beautiful than what I've seen here.
Are you still naked?
He has his clothes back on.
Yeah, Graves just like strips, like unconsciously strips during that whole time.
Yeah.
Okay. So as far as that goes, unless someone else does something, you guys are able to go through the short rest without any interruptions,
Long
anything
rest?
like that. Long
Yeah.
rest, yes. You are able to
Yeah.
go through the long rest without any interruptions, anything like that. Is there anything else that anyone is trying to do, or any conversations they wanted to have before they exited, or before they rested?
I would just like to say that Herbert has become aware that people are starting to talk to their keys and everything like that. Obviously, we've been talking about it, so it's obviously no secret. But I think he is concerned about asking for power from things because he does not want that power to be suddenly stripped away at some point. So that's why he has not made any attempt to commune with his key thus far.
It's fair though. I
Okay.
get it.
But
Okay.
I'm just gonna long rest and redo my spells.
Yeah, I'm also gonna change my spells out. I'm gonna look at my spells, or I probably
Okay.
will.
So we have one other thing that's going to happen, and then we'll be in this session. So you guys will have plenty of time to get your spell slots, everything like that,
Nice.
all kind of chosen in between this session and the next. You guys wake up in the morning. The Martikovs are gathering what meager supplies they have in order to make some breakfast. Mostly it's going to be kind of dried nuts and fruit, or nuts and dried fruit. As you're going along, it's kind of what you would expect for daily rations on
Just
the
like
road.
dry nuts, you know.
Yeah, they are not starting fires. They do have some wine that they do offer to anyone that would like some. And there is they do have some supplies of water as well. I'm going to move us back over to the path. Okay. And is Konerith back?
He is Afka.
Yes,
Afka.
I am present.
Oh, okay. Your camera wasn't showing you. That's why I was curious.
Yeah.
Okay. All good. So,
You just find that gorgeous face of his, leaving us in suspense.
Adrian is she's like, I will lead you along the way. And assist as much as I can. I am pretty war weary from the siege over the last 5 days or so. So I apologize if I'm not able to directly join you as you delve in.
Understandable.
I appreciate all the help that you have offered my family. And regardless of if you are successful or not, you have my gratitude eternally. That being said, does anyone do anything before you walk towards the vineyard?
possibly cast a buff spell that will depend upon what spells I decide to prep.
Okay. I will allow that next session. Like if you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm going to, if it's like a ritual or something,
Yeah.
I would allow that next session.
Nice.
That you would have already had your spells prepared. Makes sense. You'd be like, oh, give me 10 minutes to just prep. Like you would have had plenty of time to do that after the long rest. There we go. Okay.
Probably gonna cast aid on a couple people or on 3 people when we get back, but that's the only thing I would do.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
same stuff like that.
as I said before, there are the multiple entrances, ivy covering every wall, iron fencing, everything like that. You do see that there is a entrance door here, a entrance over here underneath the alcove here, and then it appears an entrance straight through here where the loading dock is. Can everyone roll me perception checks?
I
17.
got a 16.
Okay.
That's a 10.
15.
And
Advantage.
okay. This one is not a smell base, so he would not have advantage. Okay. None of you guys see anything as you are approaching the vineyard. As you arrive right about here, so in this little courtyard here.
Hello.
All around you, you suddenly hear the rustle of dead vines coming from around you.
Ah, shit. Druid magic. Druid bullshit. I say Druid is one of my absolute favorite classes.
Inhuman shapes emerge from the vineyard, their limbs crackling as they trudge forth through mist and rain. They were indistinguishable from the vines themselves, as no less than 30 needle blights crawl out of the vines. And that is where we will end tonight's session.
Shit. Joke's on them. I just got a crazy new ability that lets me instantly kill all nearby needle blights. That's what I got from my key, guys. I can just instantly kill needle blights.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure. It's totally balanced.
Exactly.
Well, thanks again for joining us as we journey deeper into the mist. We will return next time, delving into the Wizard of Wines, or fighting their way out as the Needle Blights have set up a clever ambush, blending with the vines perfectly as they were traveling along.
Yep.
Right on.
Yeah. Everything's gonna be okay.
Well, that is
only like 7-1.
Yeah, we're going to roll initiative next time. Just be like,
Yeah.
Which